And thanks for joining us on Inside Pages on Metro Television. Once again, I want to say sincere thanks to our cherished viewers joining us on Ghana's foremost and authoritative news and current affairs show. That's Inside Pages right here on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moro. It's a pleasure coming your way. Now, Inside Pages this morning is talking two issues. One is that a Ghanaian citizen and a broadcaster, a journalist, and also a private legal practitioner has decided to challenge the constitutionality or otherwise of what has been termed as the anti-gay bill, which is the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, which Parliament has passed, is on its way to the president. The president would have to send to the bill and then becomes law. But this gentleman we're talking about says there's something fundamentally wrong with the bill. And so he's decided to go to court to challenge its constitutionality. Now, we would find out, and of course, based on which the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, said he's unable to assent to the bill, even though the bill is yet to get to him. He says he recognizes that somebody has actually gone to court to challenge it. And so once the bill comes to him, he's afraid he will not be able to sign it. But he also goes ahead to assure the diplomatic circles or the diplomatic community that Ghana will not do anything that will undermine the fundamental freedoms as enshrined in Ghana's constitution. So I would ask whether the president is right or is spot on that, because we've also heard the minority say that the president cannot injunct himself from signing the bill because somebody is taking the matter to court. We'll explore that legal argument on Inside Pages today. And also, in case you haven't heard this, is now official. Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman is now officially is partnering the former president and flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, into the 2024 elections. Of course, it was highly speculated. She was the front runner. So for most people, it really didn't come as a surprise. But some say that the president has been consistent with his belief in social inclusion and inclusivity generally. And he actually believes in the affirmative action. And that's why the president has decided to reaffirm her or to retain her for the 2024 elections. But we're going to ask, what is going to be different of Professor Jane going into the 2024 elections, because you heard all the criticisms that some of the criticisms that were lashed at her, as she not actually contributing significantly to the president's votes in 2020. Now, that in itself, it's a matter that we intend to subject or we intend to interrogate whether indeed it is fair, whether it is valid to make such an argument against her. And if indeed it is valid, what is it that she intends to do differently to make sure that this time around she contributes much more than she did in 2020, in the 2020 elections? And so those are the two key vexed issues that we intend to look at on Inside Pages on Metro Television. I will be back after this break. I'll introduce my resource persons and then also the WhatsApp line for those of you who would want to express your thoughts.
Good news, this so very shocked. As someone buy him, you who the any because they're making me think say no, me think say a new mebia. Because John, John Enchemu 2 weeks. Dr. John Kumani constituency. Enchemu 2 weeks. Dr. John Kumaba constituency mua. Se Obana se wade Obebano or kwa. Eso DMT and Echo. just a one, no, just a one, my home. Where you are bar, Bema, where you day. And the same way I told ye a just just say, you knew dear bay. You knew dear bay.
Yes, I've been very regular and consistent with them. In all the activities, I am there. And I am also a coordinator and a delegate just like them. So their joy, I see it. Their disappointments, I feel it. Their sorrows, I know it. And they also trust that I am one person who can bring a lot of changes in their circumstances. And I'm prepared to take that mantle and lead.
Have you told them some of these changes that you want to bring on? Your message to them is what?
My message is a message of hope. It's a message of a new dynamism in politics in Ejuso. And we want to use that as a platform to take on where we are now and to carve a different path for ourselves as a country. We cannot do the usual things we do every time and hope to have a Ghana beyond aid. We need to have a new crop of young politicians who believe that we can take our destiny into our own hands and carve a path of hope for our destiny as Ghanaians. And I am prepared to lead that from Ejuso and help Ghana see a different leadership altogether.
How many delegates do you have in the constituency? How many of them are you going to get? What's the percentage of win that you're projecting?
We have 750 delegates.
Wow, that's a huge
one. Yeah, it's quite
a very
big.
huge one.
Yeah, it's quite big. At the moment, about 500 of the delegates have pledged support to me, and I trust that they will deliver.
500 out of the 700, that's over 70%.
Yes. Yes, that's well, but you know, this is politics.
You remember Sir John's statement? Fear delegates.
Well, it is true that you must fear delegates, but
Yes.
when you serve them, when you show them enough respect, when you show that you understand what their desires are, they will always go for you. So, yes, I agree with Sir John to fear delegates, but I also believe that there's more to this fear. When you are able to show that you understand them and you are ready to offer them leadership, they will go with you.
I see that you have identified so much with the people.
Yes.
They are your people, you are their man.
Yes.
You move with them, you eat with them, you do
Yes.
everything with them. And then we see the outside campaign as well. But is there any specific projects that you would want to talk about that probably you have in background? There are lots of times we see, well, a son of the constituency like yourself who
Yes.
is occupying a position like this.
Yes.
Is there anything that we should know?
Yes, there are so many interventions that I have.
Kwala wo mu wie school SS no o wa me bi adwuma aye ama bi adwuma aye pa nti lawyer de ya de ye nsi ne form ono nso nsi ye form nti lawyer wo ni de ya me ya pa me ka sanya me ya na me bo
e bo be 3:30 ya na yete so na bo aka nchene gu ese yete ye na ye ya nkasa ese ye kura na ye nim tama o ya le ya mpefuru na yete so na bo wawu nti ye pa se ya hwere ya de ankasa ona bo bebe obi yankopon fa ne kla nsie ye emaye
donaso ese obebi ama wo mo mu ni adwuma ye enya adwuma ye ana na ya wo ye tin se nti awrade fa ne kla nsie baabi awrade fa ne nsie abraham kuku na da achi ye so yakoto no a ye nya ade papa bi aye
The atmosphere at the Finance Ministry, the entire Jubilee House and the entire country has been thrown into a somber mood. We're still in shock, we're still in disbelief following the announcement of the death of the Deputy Finance Minister, John Ampontu Ankomah, who is a member of parliament for the Ejuso constituency. I mean, this is a gentleman. I mean, he was just 45 years old. This is a gentleman who we were both at University of Ghana, Legon together. He was someone who was very politically active, a very nice guy. But on Thursday, we had his untimely death, and everybody stood in a state of shock. I mean, it's like, how, you know? But it is what it is. John Kumah is no more, and we intend to use the next 5 minutes, or the next 10 minutes to eulogize him. You know, some of my guest who was already seated here have some fond memories of him. I do know for a fact that the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, who the indefatigable, hardworking member of parliament for the Tamale Central. The Honorable Murtala Ibrahim Mohammed is, one of his closest friends. They go way back. Campus, they were on the other side. John Kumar was, obviously on the MPP side. He was on the NDC side. But of course, students' politics, it would not be overtly said, but you could actually tell. They slugged it out when they both, at the SRC elections level and so on and so forth. And so, I mean, it's a massive blow. It's a massive blow. He was a wonderful chap. But anyway, so let me introduce my resource person. Some of them have joined us. One more person will be joining us shortly. The Honorable Murtala Mohammed is the MP for Tamale Central. He's already seated. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. And assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, your microphone is actually off, I'm told.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Let me also say a very good morning to Mr. Palgrib Washidankwa, who is a government spokesperson, but more to do with governance and security matters. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Moro. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And I think it's perfectly understandable why you're in black. Especially the MPP. Of course, Ghana is mourning, but especially the MPP, because he's from your stock, basically. I don't know whether you have any fond memories of him. If you have anything you want to say about John Kumar. I don't know how close were you with him?
Well, a very good morning to you, Moro, to my senior, Murtala Mohammed, and to the viewing Ghanaian people. My first condolence and commiseration to the Honorable Dr. John Kumar's family, wife and children, church and community and constituency. You know that the Honorable Dr. John Kumar first was a party communicator.
Right.
And so as part of the communications team, we engaged up close. And then when he became Deputy Minister for Finance, each time the president has to present his budget, there would be a pre-party comms analysis. And the Honorable Dr. John Kumar would be the one that would meet the party communicators and walk us through some of the policies and taxes that are coming in the budget to be read on the floor of the House. And also as an alumni of NIPS, Nobel International Business School, I serve as the alumni organizer. And so we engaged on that front as well, because that's the school that I'm in, where he did his doctoral and where I'm also doing my doctoral. And my public defense is on Monday. And so we have a lot of memories of the Honorable Dr. John Kumar. It's a very, very big blow to the New Patriotic Party. It's a very, very big blow to the Christian community. It's a very, very big blow. Definitely.
I'm actually told he's a minister of God.
He is a minister. His wife as well is an apostle. It's a big blow, and I'm very certain that it will be a major blow to the Ministry of Finance, where he served as a deputy minister, a rising star, a lawyer, a businessman, a pastor, a deputy finance minister, a legislator. It's very difficult. I can't get my head around it. When I wake up every day, I'm like, John Kumar. I mean, every day I'm like, John Kumar. You know, one would have wished that at least he was either ill for a longer period of time and prayed for recovery, but this is not good.
Did you know he was unwell?
I didn't know he was unwell. I mean, every now and then. When was the last
time you spoke to him?
It's been a while. Yes. Every now and then, there's a young man that is close to him. He's called Alpha.
Okay.
I mean, so every now and then, when I see Alpha in the office, I'll just find out how is the Honorable Dr. John Kumar doing, because you recall that in the lead up to our flag bearer declaring who the running mate is, his name has come up. Other people's names in different quarters.
True.
So every now and then I would meet up with some of his team, and then I would jokingly say, "How is he doing? How is he doing? Is everything okay?"
You probably should have added, "It is possible."
Yeah, of course. I mean, every now and then, I mean, when I meet them in the corridors, I'm like, "How is he doing?" So I always would ask Alpha, "Is it still on?" You know, that's like I always say, "Alpha, is it still on?" He say, "Yes, we are praying." You know, but I never got wind that he was unwell. I never got wind that he had gone to Germany for medical attention or gone to India. I never got any of those at all. But it's really, really, really sad that he's had to go through such a difficult process and finally give up his life. I can imagine how difficult it is for the wife who was there, because I'm told that when the ambulance was in transition from Ejoso into Accra, the wife was there. And so when it got very serious and they got to Suhum, they needed to get to the nearest hospital in Suhum, and he gave up his soul to the Lord. It's a very, very sad ordeal. And if you look at the constituents who are trooping into the home and crying and wailing, and for one who was acclaimed as a first-time MP and wasn't contested in the previous primaries, you can clearly see how well he's loved by the constituency. And so this is a very, very big blow. And Ejuso is not a small constituency. It's a very, very big constituency. It's a stronghold of the New Patriotic Party. And so, as you see, in shedding, and we pray and hope that when whatever is done, these issues should not repeat itself. However, the claims come out.
But I'll bring in Murtala. I mean, Murtala has a special story to tell about his relationship with John Quinn, and I want viewers to pay attention to this. But before I get to him, I mean, you belong to a lot of MPP WhatsApp platforms, and I'm sure that this conversation is already taking place on these platforms. What's the talk? I mean, we've heard all kinds of things about the fact that he was killed. He didn't die. And there's all kinds of talk about last year during one of the vice president's tour in the northern region. He was there, John Kumar was there. And, you know, in their hotel, somebody, I mean, I don't know who the person is, somebody brought them some Aconfirm and they ate, and, you know, and it created all kinds of medical challenges for them. Not just him, but the Ashanti Regional Chairman and some other persons as well. I don't know how alive this conversation is on some of your platforms. And what's the thinking? I mean, are people more tilted towards the belief that he was killed, or people just feel, look, hang on a minute, you know, well, let's get to the bottom of this and so on?
Nuclear and extended family. I lost my mom. I lost my mom's brother, my mom's sister, my stepbrother, and a cousin. So 5. And it would be difficult for me to align my thoughts towards some of the post issues that are happening.
Right.
But what I would say is that, having observed firsthand postmortem being done, especially on my uncle when he died. I would say that it would be important for us to wait for a postmortem to be done by the family, and if the family so wish, declare that to the party or the nation, then we can be able to ascertain all of these rumors that are happening. But for me, I don't think that I would want to pay close attention to it.
Double in that kind of
conversation. I mean, because then, yes, it's of the dead speak no evil is a very difficult issue that has happened. It's important that we are mindful how we hold the conversations and the dignity that must come to him and to the family as well. We must respect that and revere that. And I would really just wish that people that are purporting such thoughts should be restrained, should give a lot more reverence to the immediate family, because this is a human life that is lost. 45 years old, young, vibrant, energetic, with a bright future. Even if God blesses him with another 50 years, that's like 95. And yes, you don't know what you would get. And so this is a young man who was rising up. And so what happens to the next 50 years of his life that he's not alive, with his children that he has, 6 children and a wife, and the community, the constituency, the country is going to forever be on our hearts. And so we should be mindful and
the kinds of comments we make.
Exactly.
It's just that the wife herself, when the media went to her house, one of the things she kept saying was, they've killed my husband, they've killed. So clearly, this is not somebody who believes that the husband died a natural death. I mean, she's somebody who believes that the husband was killed. In fact, she has asked that the police invite Captain Smart of Onua FM to help in investigating some of the claims that Captain Smart has made about the fact that he's been killed. In fact, Captain Smart has gone ahead to make all kinds of prophecies about, and I'm using prophecy here in quotes, about the Honorable Energy Minister as well, and so on and so forth. So it appears that whole conversation about the circumstances that led to his death and the fact that he was killed. It was something that is very much alive. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but more, I mean, you can imagine the number of calls that many
Yeah.
of us are getting,
Yeah,
especially as
I get it.
young, promising
I understand.
politicians.
I
I
know.
mean,
Which is
lots
to
of
be
calls,
careful, be careful,
of
be
guidance,
careful.
of
Yeah.
be careful and all of that. So we don't want to cause a fear and panic on
Under-
anybody
understand
and
you.
everybody around.
Understand
So
you.
really,
Understand you. But clearly, I mean, this is cause for concern.
it is indeed.
You know, because there's this talk about the fact that, look, if it's beginning to look like if you're a rising star within a political party, you become a target.
We just need to pray for grace.
That's fine. I get that. I think I get that. I totally understand you. Honorable, I'm not sure 2 hours is more than enough to tell the story between you and John Kumah. It's a very rich one, but I'm sure you try and, as much as possible, and tell us briefly the kind of relationship you have with him. First of all, where were you? When did you hear the story? How was your reaction? Before you go ahead to tell us what kind of relationship you have with him.
Well, Muru, I am completely sad this morning, and I'm sad because before I left home for this program, I got a terrible news of departure of a brother of mine. I call him a brother because he was my childhood friend. We grew up together. We used to call him Zoology. He's called Hamza.
Okay.
Interestingly, he's also the senior brother to my constituency chairman.
Okay.
And also the kid brother to Dr. Nash, the former governor
Central Bank
of Bank of Ghana. And we were very close. We were in in Ghana school together. We virtually grew up. And where I was, our family house, there's one house, Alaji.
Okay.
So I've known him for long, before I even got closer to Dr. Nash and also to his kid brother, with whom I have had a long, history and life with in my politics. The last time I met Hamza was at the Central Mosque at East Legon. In fact, we've been meeting there.
Okay.
Often I pray there, particularly on Friday, if I'm not in Parliament. Usually that is where I pray. There's this Libyan mosque closer to ANC, just behind ANC. That was the last time we met.
Okay.
This morning, my chairman called and said he was at the airport, and this also happened. My condolences, goes to Dr. Nash and Brofuzi.
And it happened this morning?
I think last night.
Oh, last night.
Wow. So from here, I have to go to Kolebu straight. Muslims, we certainly
he'll be buried.
Will be burying
ASAP.
this morning. So my condolences to Dr. Nash, Brofuzi, the sisters, and most importantly, my constituency chairman FK, and the entire family. For me, it's a loss to me because
this is very personal.
Yes, very personal. So, Moro, again, let me extend my profound and sincerest condolences to the wife of my good friend, Honorable Dr. John Kumah, to the mother, the family, the close, family members, and of course, his constituency. John and I have a long history. And I say long history because we started our politics together. We were all in student politics. First and foremost, we were the same year group. Myself, Honorable John Kumah, Shamima Muslim, our friend at Joy, Samson Ladi, Ayenini, Koshigan, who happened to be a lecturer of law, Albert Koshigan.
He's a lecturer at UPSA.
UPSA. And many of our colleagues, most of them, I can't mention their names, but those of them who are in politics today. At the time when we were in Legon, Honorable Anodon Pre and Co, I think we're in Cape Coast. I mean, this was our generation. It was when we moved, then Honorable Okujeto and Co also came up. We took over from, Honorable Haruna, Honorable Adam Mohamed Amin, Anta, the current Minister for Finance, and Dr. Mustafa. And from the north, those of us, they all taught me anytime they were in. And one also went to the university, also teaching in that manner. So that generation of young people engaged in politics, myself and John Kumah were in the same hall. My first encounter with him was when we organized debating club in the Legon Hall. I was in Legon Hall with him. On your colleague, at City FM. Bernard Avle.
Bernard,
was our 1 year junior.
Right.
And then we were in the same hall. And I remember we debated on the unjustifiable and criminal invasion of Iraq by America, supported by Tony Blair, who I think is a war criminal, ought to be prosecuted and convicted. And then they were pro-war, and I was against war. Several years later, I told Bernard Avle that I have been vindicated because the war was as a result of Pact of Lies.
Right.
When we had the first debate, John also came on, and we were close. In fact, I virtually agreed with John. We agreed with each other on every single matter as far as student politics was concerned. So in Legon Hall, we were elected to the Legon Hall Congress the same day. We were elected to the General Assembly, that is the parliament of the university, and the Congress is the parliament of the hall. We were elected the same day at the General Assembly. I remember in my second year, I was impeaching my JCR president for chopping students' money. I use the word chopping because that was the description we gave to it. They squandered a lot of money of students. And interestingly, the gentleman I was impeaching was a friend to John Kumar and co. Yeah. You know, in fact, he was a friend to John Kumar's friend. So they were aligned.
Right.
I remember lawyer Martin Kwebu. Martin Kwebu was the lawyer to the gentleman I was impeaching, and Honorable Agalga was my lawyer. We were in court for 1 year. In fact, student court for 1 year. The reason why I'm making reference to this is that when we went to court, Martin Kwebu, in addressing me as the plaintiff, would say Ibrahim Mutala, and I say the name is not Mutala, the name is Muritala.
Yeah.
So anytime John Kumar sees me, even until his demise, anytime he sees me in Parliament, say the name is not Mutala, the name is Muritala. You know, so we're that close. And when I was impeaching the JCR president, after the impeachment, I led, I think, the first demonstration. We're told that was the first time Legon Hall there was any demonstration. Because Legon Hall was described as some Dada B hall. I mean, a hall you hardly, you know, see anything like demonstration. So when we led that demonstration, it was so tense because water was not flowing in the hall. Yeah. There are a lot of things that the university we felt. Yeah. The hall, you know, failed in providing. So when I was mobilizing people to engage on this demonstration, the first person who came to join me was Honorable John Kumar. Yeah. And I remember we demonstrated from Legon Hall to Radio Universe. Yeah. I spoke and I called John Kumar to also speak because I didn't want it to be like me because it was so scary to organize demonstration in Legon Hall. But I didn't care anyway. John had the courage to come and also grant an interview. You know, he granted an interview to the cause of the demonstration. And when we did that, the university called me and I invited John Kumar. Okay. We had a meeting, and the problem for which we staged the first demonstration of the hall was addressed. They started providing, you know, water reservoirs and cleaners all the time. And for me, that was a positive demonstration because it yielded the positive results for which we embarked on the demonstration. Okay. The only place we parted was when I was impeaching their very good friend. Right. So John and I have come a long way. We contested SRC elections together. True. John contested with a gentleman called Abebe, who was very popular. Abebe was like, he's in the U.S. Army today.
John Kumar and Abebe.
Abebe was like a girl's guy. Yeah. You know, so John Kumar was riding on Abebe's popularity. You could not win elections without having the support of the ladies. True. So everywhere, and I was contesting with Albert Koshiga. Right. So everywhere we went, John Kumar would say, once again, it's John Kumar and Abebe. So any statement John Kumar made, he would make reference to Abebe so that he could have the support of the ladies, you know. So anywhere he sees me, even in Parliament, the name is not Mutala, it's Muritala. And I'll say, once again, it's John Kumar and Abebe. I also remember when we wanted to investigate the spending of students' money by the SRC under a gentleman called Ekpa Enyinam Ekpa. He was the SRC president. At the General Assembly, John was the first person who rose and nominated me to lead the investigation. And everybody agreed, it was unanimous. But he made certain statements, which I always make reference to. He said, look, I am proposing Mutala listed because he's incorruptible, he's honest, he's firm, he's not afraid, we think that he can lead it. These were the words of John Kumar. And to be very honest with you, I remember my good friend Samson Ladi was also there. He was in General Assembly because he was the JCR president of Equiafo Hall. So all JCR presidents of the various halls were automatic members of the General Assembly. And when John made the proposal that he thinks that I should lead the investigation for the squandering of students' money, these were the worst, and I'll forever remain grateful for that confidence. So we led the investigation, and the consequences, I wouldn't have my time to talk about it, but it yielded, once again, some positive results. I also remember, Moro, we wanted to lead a demonstration by the university.
Yeah.
And I did everything. That demonstration, John had actually cautioned me.
Yeah.
Because the faces who were supporting the demonstration, he was a bit worried.
Yeah.
We have Lord Hammer.
Yes, Lord Hammer.
Lord Hammer and Co. were our genius.
Yes.
So Lord Hammer and Co. supported the demonstration. He called and said, hey, my brother, this demonstration can degenerate, so be very careful. But I was marching on anyway. What scared me, and I have to state it, the prior night to the demonstration, someone came to me and said, Mutala, let's get some kasapraku. Give to the boys, let them drink the following morning, they bend down the school.
Yeah.
So when the person, I don't want to mention the name, but you know the person who came.
Very.
When the person said that, I became alarmed. I said, hey, I called John. You advised me against this demonstration. These are the proposals some of the boys are given to me on this demonstration. And I knew, a northern student, a very poor boy, if this demonstration degenerates and I'm sacked from the university, that perhaps could have been the end. But we could no longer stop the demonstration. So what we're then doing was to see how we could tame those radical ones among us. And he was very instrumental in that manner. We went for Nooks Congress. He wanted to contest. I wanted to contest. ECPO was not contesting. Then Dr. Omane Boama had contested the previous year. In fact, this guy, the PNC former national chairman, Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona was coming from University of Cape Coast, wanted to contest. I was coming from Legon, I wanted to contest. John Kuma wanted to contest. Omani had contested the previous year as a biological science student on University of Ghana campus, and then lost. The second year, he moved to Kolebu. So we felt that Legon was going to present 3 candidates. Shemima wanted to contest, I think, for women organizer. There's Dr. Amanda.
I think it was Women's Commissioner.
Women's Commissioner.
Yes, Women's
Dr.
Commissioner.
Amanda, who is now a lecturer at Lesia. So
Yeah.
I called the meeting. We had the meeting. We said Legon could not present 3 candidates. Not 3, myself, Omani, and John Kuma.
Yes.
So we all said no. And us at that time, we knew who belongs to what political party.
Exactly.
But when it came to issues of students, to be very honest, the politics was not that much. Even though we knew everybody in Mutala was NDC, John Kuma was MPP. One thing I can say about John, he was such an intelligent young man.
Yeah.
With energy, and I remember that, and he's a goal-getter. Once he sets his ambition on something, he would do everything possible to get it. So we have been very, very good friends.
Okay.
We were all pretty young at that time, even though I finished teacher training college before I came to the university. I was a bit older, than them, but we're very close.
Okay.
So to lose such a person, I think
it's a big blow.
It is a big blow. However, your last question, look, as a Muslim, Muslims, we don't engage in post-mortem and those things, because in Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah says that kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut, that every soul shall taste death, and it's a Surah, Quran chapter 29. So, and innama amalu bi niyat, we shall all, from the sun we came, and then from Allah we came, and to Him we will go back. As some says that we are from the sun, and then to the dust we go back. So because of that, I am particularly careful to give reasons why anybody dies. I am particularly careful because if I say something that is inaccurate, there's something called Gaibi. You would have known something that cannot be known except by Allah. And if it is not true, that sin is a major sin. And that's why I'm particularly careful. That notwithstanding, the allegations are coming from people closer to him. More so what you just read about the statement that is made by the wife. I think that it ought to be investigated. The information I am picking is that I saw a video where, what even a gentleman said. What a gentleman said that they ate meat, guinea fowl. The understanding is that it wasn't served by the hotel. I don't think that they served. But who brought that meat I think that it can easily be investigated. We need to know who brought down meat. And the reason why, I've stated my position as a Muslim, but the reason why it is important, so it serves as a deterrent, because we never know.
Because you're all endangered species.
If indeed someone did that, what is the guarantee that that person may not be, or those people, or those group of persons may not be out for other people? Look, one could say that a monkey has no business in the playgrounds of dogs. But this one, it is not about monkeys' playgrounds or dogs' playground. It is about life. More so about life, equality.
Let's give it to
No, it's a life about equality. A life of a citizen. More so, a deputy minister for finance, a young person who has a lot of hope. I listened to that gentleman who says that no one can tell him that this thing has nothing to do with the bid to get Iranian meat. And he also made another allegation that the current minister for education, that he himself
is unwell.
Is unwell.
Before you go ahead, let me just say that Nanaya Jantua is the former General Secretary of the CPP. She's joined us in the studio. Good morning, madam. Thank you so very much for joining us. My viewers are complaining that these days they don't see you around. I said, well, it's because you've been very busy. It's on. Please go ahead.
And my in fact, what I would just say is that, look, I lost my mom of blessed moment. I was very, very close with my mom. And I remember when I was crying and I was wondering whether there is anything that is more hurtful than losing your mother, because it was so hurtful. And in fact, sometimes in my private, I think about it, I don't know where tears come from. Everybody who knows me knows how close I was with my mom. But someone told me, who lost their wife, Mutela, I lost my mom before I lost my wife. Nothing is more hurtful than losing a spouse. Yeah. He said, look, even though losing your mother is hurtful, but nothing is more hurtful than losing a spouse. And that I have had interactions with people, women who lost their husbands, and they tell me that nothing is more hurtful than losing a partner. There isn't anybody who understands you, who knows you better than your spouse, for you to lose your partner. So I can imagine the agony that the woman is going through, more so when the man left behind 6 kids. So it is not just a loss to the Christian fraternity. I understand, because he was a reverend minister. It is a loss to humanity. It is a loss to young people who have the aspiration to engage in national politics.
But so the point is, should get to the bottom of this.
I think, if I have stated the position as okay, but I'm saying that the reason why sometimes, and if it is permissible in the religions they believe in, and also by law, if it is true that he was indeed killed, okay, I think that we need to be very careful.
For me, whether or not he was killed, if you look at the circumstances under which he died, we need an autopsy report. That's all.
Yeah, Yamoro. But I'm saying, yes, I agree. That's what I'm saying, that it ought to be done. It ought to be investigated. Yeah. I think that this matter should not be left.
Because you keep asking the question, who brought the guinea fowl? Who brought the guinea fowl? It's got to be answered.
And when the wife, in fact, I have had a chat with some colleagues. Yes. I won't put it out there. The kinds of conversations they have had with our friend John Kuma, even before, the kinds of conversations they have had with. He was in Parliament last Monday.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't. It was Honorable Sohine who told me, look, I met him and I wasn't happy how I met him. So I think that it ought to be investigated.
Okay.
It's possible that he might not have been killed by any so-called poisoning. It's possible that something could have triggered it. But if it is established, I think that the security agencies have the capacity, if there isn't going to be, collusion or hiding, they have the capacity to investigate, to establish this. More so, when you have a journalist, long before that, who alleged
that he was going to be killed,
that the gentleman was going to be killed.
Yes.
And if you listen to the allegations made by that gentleman, he said the target was not only John, that the target was...
He mentioned one of the ministers.
The regional chairman, and many others. And he said that, look, if anybody is chosen as a running mate, they won't have any problem. But if a particular person is chosen, so who is that person? I think that it ought to be investigated. But you see, it's becoming too many within the MPP. We were in this country when we were also told that Hawa Yakubu, I don't know, but this rumor was there, that Hawa Yakubu was poisoned. There was that rumor that Honorable Bawiredu, there was a lot of rumor. People made that. Rumors could be true, it could be untrue. But they are becoming too many. I am particularly angry about this one because John was a very good friend of mine. and genuinely a very nice person. I disagreed with John on many issues, particularly when it comes to politics. But I can tell you, anywhere John sees me or any of our colleagues, John will call. There were instances John will call you. Oh, I'm just taking up on you. So I think that for such a person, life to be ended this way, whether someone did that or not, it is already destined by Allah. That Allah destines it.
Okay.
If Allah didn't destine it, it wouldn't have happened. But I'm saying that for such allegations to be coming from people closer.
I understand. I get
think
it.
that there is a need
I get
for
it.
investigation
Honorable,
to be done.
unfortunately, it's a very important conversation we could have had till about 10. Unfortunately, we have 2 more topics to look at, and the time is already, it's already 8:40. That's how fast time flies when we start these kinds of conversations. Anaya, do you have any brief thoughts on John?
Oh.
I don't know how closely you were to
No,
him.
I wasn't closely related. I mean, I never even met him. Good morning to my brothers.
Yeah, sure.
I never even met him, and there were times I didn't even agree with his statements, and I condemned some of the things that he said. But from afar, he looked like a very fine gentleman. Me, for a woman, he was a handsome man, and he was somebody who looked very decent. But you see, Moro, this thing that we are in, this politics, you needn't be careless.
Yeah.
You needn't be careless. When it comes to your food, when it comes to your drink, when it comes to your social life. You needn't be careless. And if you are not careful, what has happened to John will happen to you. See, at this moment, I'm not going to do politics with it. I'm just saying it is not only in MPP that these things happen. It happens across our political divide. It happens even abroad, within the Democrats, the Republicans, everywhere. As long as you allow yourself. I don't know why everybody is not talking about, if it is truly, really true. There is one to me.
Yeah.
He is alive. Can he tell us if actually somebody brought them food to eat?
True.
So we are able to establish that. We cannot say that he was poisoned. Because you know what? Poison comes in different ways. Even it's possible even the food that you eat has not been preserved well, and you can be poisoned.
That's true.
And this was meat. Do you get me? With this hard economic conditions that we are in, people cut corners. Maybe the food was not preserved well. If it is latent poison, and the kind of poison that they give out these days, it affects your organs, and by a certain time dissolves into the bloodstream, and even when you do an autopsy, you only see organ failure. But the issue is that, what kind of organ failure? Because even when it is kidney disease, people go on dialysis, which makes them well. When I saw his pictures, I was like, what kind of disease is this? Is it possible there has been some kind of manipulation in his body from an outside source or element? It is unfortunate, but we are talking too much. We should go straight into action and do some investigation concerning the death of this man. We should not, keep it as business as usual. We cannot lose. No, please, you see, comrade here was saying something. He said that, Allah.
The position of Islam.
Yes, Allah give. Yes, we are Christians. The teachings are almost the same.
Right.
But the point is that it's not every time that Allah takes. There are times that Allah hasn't taken and human beings has taken.
I like that.
By the will of Allah.
No. You see, sometimes God gives, we give things to God that every time God. No, but there are times He has not taken, and human beings take. Allah did not take the life of Cain and Abel in the Bible. Did Allah take the life of?
If he didn't will, it wouldn't have.
No. But he was angry. It wasn't his
That's
will.
okay. Let's just say she disagrees. That's fine.
No, do you guys
she
see?
disagrees,
If it
yes.
was his will,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have punished the brother.
Right.
Do you understand
I get
me?
it.
So there's, for me, Allah has his ways. God has his ways. But if somebody willfully takes your life,
Yeah.
you cannot say it's always the will of God. Sometimes it's the will of man.
Right.
And when it is the will of man, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
This is very unfortunate. It is wholly unacceptable. Yes, if he's the running mate, and so what? Who is better than him? He's a fresh face. Nobody knows him.
Energetic.
He's not tainted. And if truly he's the running mate, do you kill because he's the running? Besides, the running mate is what? That somebody, even the flag bearer, why should somebody kill because he's a running mate?
What's the guarantee you even win elections?
What is the guarantee? You are not even going to win.
Yeah.
So now what is your problem?
I spoke to his special assistant, I think one Dominic Dankwa. Derek, if we have it, I think
And
it's
what
about
did
2-3
the wife
minutes or
say?
so. That's what the wife, she kept saying.
But what did she mean? I got very upset when I noticed that the wife is an Osofo-Mame. That is where you bring God in, because if you are Osofo-Mame, you should be praying and standing with your husband.
Yeah.
Do you get me? You should be praying and standing behind you. That is the role of the helpmeet. You don't wait for it to happen before you cry. Because where your husband is slippery ground. So immediately your husband's name was like going round as going to be the vice president. Then you go into proper prayer, warfare.
Take it to the next level.
You take it to the next level. Enter the forest, enter the mountains, pray. Go to God. Tell him. You see, there are times that even God says somebody is going to die. Hezekiah was going to die. And he prayed to God, and God prolonged his years to 15 more years.
Yeah.
So God is there. God also intervenes in the affairs of men.
Okay.
And we shouldn't let it be like that. We should be very careful how we do things. I am saying it again. My brothers and sisters who are politicians,
Careful.
I beg you, be careful. Lead a certain kind. It might be boring. I lead a certain kind of life. Yesterday, somebody almost told me I'm gay. Yes.
No, I beg you. Let's.
Let me explain why the
Oh my
person
God.
just give me a
Why? Also, yeah.
Because the person said that he doesn't see me, and it's my own brother. My own brother Kojo Boku. He doesn't see me. Kojo, good morning. He doesn't see me with anybody. I go to places alone. All my life he's been monitoring me. I don't go to places with anybody. And I said that you see, you need to walk in a certain life. If you are not careful, you fall into trouble.
Dania, she's a security couple.
Charlie, me,
She's an intelligence
I
woman,
don't
so
joke with these
she knows
things.
what
So,
she
Charlie,
knows how to move.
That
Anyway,
man will go and collect money.
Can we? Yeah, come and finish you. I beg you. Let's watch what Dominic Dankwa said. And then let's play. I think it's about 4 or 5 minutes or so.
The sudden demise of the Member of Parliament for Ejiso and Deputy Minister for Finance, John Kuma, sent social media into an overdrive with several speculations about his cause of death. Prominent among them was the narrative that the Member of Parliament had been poisoned for political reasons. In an interview with Metro News, the aide to the late Deputy Minister corroborated allegations that the minister had been poisoned and further went on to disclose that the late John Kuma was one of the possible choices to pair the vice president in the upcoming elections.
That is true. That is true.
Was poisoned.
Yes, that is true.
Do we know who did this to him?
That I can't say.
Do you have any suspicions?
No, I don't have anyone in mind.
Do you have
But
any?
the person who did it knows him or herself. I mean, it's an individual. I mean, it's a human being who did that. So he or she knows how he did it, and then he knows why he did it.
Do you have any suspicions why somebody would want to poison him?
Honestly, I can't say. But we all know it. I mean, it boils down on the running mate issues. Yeah.
It has something to do with the running mate issue.
Sure.
Again, how true is it that there was some considerations, there was some discussions about him possibly partnering the vice president, who's not a flag bearer of your party, for the 2024 elections? Does his name come up in any quarters, in any conversations?
Oh, to the best of my knowledge, I knew his name was in consideration.
Okay.
And he was part of those who were tipped to be with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia come 2024 December elections.
He went on to narrate the events leading to the death of the late minister.
Dr. John Kuma came to the constituency last Tuesday evening. He said he wanted to be part of Ghana's Independence Day celebration, which was yesterday. But in the morning, he told us he can't make it because he wasn't feeling that well. So the constituency chairman represented him on that occasion. Later on in the day, we called his personal doctor who came from Accra to be with him and then started treatment. So we were supposed to go back to Germany this evening. So this morning, the idea was that he was going back to Accra so that this evening he can fly off to Germany to continue with his medication. But he got so weak that he couldn't walk. He was so weak. So the doctor directed that, since it's just some weakness, we should just bring an ambulance so that he can continue with the treatment next until he gets to Accra. Then the other health experts there to support in that regard. So his wife was in the ambulance. Then some of our members were also in his car and other cars which followed. So we were monitoring. But I got to a time around 12 thereabouts, we were calling and no one was speaking. So later on, called his elder brother. Then once he answered, the atmosphere around it told the whole thing. All that he said was, Ali. So that was what happened. That was when they got into Sobun. When they got to Sobun, they realized that his condition is deteriorating. So they rushed him to Strong Government Hospital. So when they went there, he just passed off.
Apart from being a politician, John Kumah was also a businessman, preacher, and a lawyer, and served as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovative Program.
Well, that was the interview I had with, especially to John Kumah. He's called Dominic Dankwa. He was actually confirming that his boss was poisoned. That, according to him, he confirmed it. And he said he has everything to do with the running mate competition. And so he would do everything possible to make sure that the state gets to the bottom of this because it's unacceptable. That's what he said. This is somebody who's always with John Kumah. Dominic is a very popular chap. If you know John Kumah, you know Dominic. Anyway, so we'll take a short break. When we come back, a private citizen, he's a journalist, he is a private legal practitioner, he's a Ghanaian, he's decided to go to court, and his mission is simple. He's going to pray to the court to declare as unconstitutional the bill which has just been passed in Parliament, and the bill which is about the proper human sexual rights and family values. According to him, there are many, many aspects of the bill that undermines, that flouts, that hurts, that does all kinds of things to our fundamental rights as Ghanaians. And when we come back, I'll get a lawyer, Justice Abdullahi, who's actually been with us on Zoom for the past 30 minutes, and I want to say a very big sorry to you, Justice Abdullahi, for putting you in there. When even though I hadn't actually acknowledged that you were there. So Justice Abdullahi, I want to say a big sorry to you for that. So when I come back, Justice Abdullahi would walk us through briefly what this whole suit is all about. What does Richard Sky want? What is his problem? Because we're not going to get to the merits or otherwise of the case because the matter, as you do know, is sub judice. It's in court. And so we're not going to look into the meat of the matter. We don't want to go to court. So I beg you. So the man will tell us what is it that Richard Sky is looking for, and the question of whether the president has the right to say he will not sign because the matter is in court. And if he doesn't sign, what options does Parliament have? There, the Honorable Murtala Mohammed will come, because we've heard the Fiamakbo, the MP for Not Die, say that don't worry, you can decide not to sign, we know what to do. So when we come back, we'll look at all those vex issues right here on Inside Pages. Stay tuned in. All right, welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. Inside Pages this morning is looking at two very important subject matters. Of course, we've just finished eulogizing the Honourable Member of Parliament for Ejisu and Deputy Finance Minister John Mpontua Kumah. As you can tell, most of my resource persons were here, having seen some very kind words based on either personal relationship they have with him or what they heard about him. And also the advice to everybody that we must all be careful, especially with our security, what you eat, where you socialize, what you drink, and so on and so forth. These are lessons to all of that. I mean, we're not saying this because we're saying that we know it as a matter of fact that it was poisoned, but when they say when it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, you know what it is. Anyway, so we're not getting to our second issue. Our second issue has to do with some very interesting development this week where a very good friend of mine, actually, Richard Delaskai, who is, he sits on the morning show on City FM and also a private legal practitioner. And he's decided to go to court, and he's actually sued the Speaker, the President, and the Attorney General. He wants the court to also declare as unconstitutional the anti-gay bill. Now, we are not lawyers, we're mere mortals, so we're trying to get a private legal practitioner, Justice Abdullahi, to help us understand what exactly is Richard Sky asking the court to do, and whether by the operation of what Richard Sky has done, the president is estopped or is injuncted from signing the bill, as the president himself has said. He said the bill is yet to come to me. When it comes to me, I'm sorry, I can't sign it because the matter is in court. Remember, there's actually another matter in court even before Richard Sky's. One Odoy sometime last year in June. So it is important that we give this background so that when Justice Abdullahi comes in, we will understand where he's coming from. Justice Abdullahi, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages. Okay, Justice Abdullahi is not on yet. Okay, so I'll start with Honorable Murtala Mohammed on this matter, because this matter actually emanates from them as members of parliament. So, Murtala Mohammed, this bill that when I say you and your colleagues have passed in parliament, it doesn't seem to be sitting down well with the diplomatic community. We've heard the U.S. ambassador to Ghana who says a lot of things are going to change if this bill goes through. One, we're not going to our trade relations with America and some other countries is going to be undermined. Two, we will not be able to hire the best and recruit the best from America because some of them are homosexuals. She's talked about the fact that this bill, according to her reading, undermines the fundamental rights of Ghanaians, even if they're in a minority. All of those things is going to have a devastating diplomatic relationship with these countries. We've also heard the IMF. They're not happy. The World Bank is not happy. Why did Parliament decide to go ahead to pass a bill that potentially can cripple the economy of this country, as the American ambassador has said?
Moro, when the Nazi Germans under Adolf Hitler had invaded France, and they were at the brink of invading the United Kingdom, then Prime Minister Churchill, his security advisor, who was called Halifax, on the floor of Parliament of United Kingdom, advised the Prime Minister that they should surrender to the Nazi Germans, because having invaded France and virtually most countries around the territories of Western Europe, for them to protect lives and save more lives from being lost, he thought that it was wise for them to surrender to the Nazi German. Do you know the response of Churchill to Halifax?
Right.
He said, even if we are lying on the floor of this parliament, choking in our own blood, we shall not surrender. So I want to tell the American ambassador and President Biden and the British Prime Minister, is it Sunak or what's the name?
Yeah, Rishi Sunak.
He was not even elected, by the way. Nobody elected him to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And the British High Commission, that even if we are lying on the floors of Ghana, on the street of Ghana, choking in our own blood, we shall not surrender. It's utterly nonsense. Look, this LGBTQ nonsense, they have weaponized aid for the sake of the LGBTQ. Anybody who did law will tell you that in the law class, you do common law. You are looking at the history of our laws. What is common law? It is just the English customary laws. Now, our laws are laws that we combine the British common law and our customary laws. The British common law was created out of their own customary laws. And customary laws are laws that you make to regulate the conduct based on things that are in sync with your values, your way of life, your customs, and your traditions. Now, we have our laws in Ghana, which is the combination of both the so-called common law and I would substitute it with the British customary laws and our laws because we were unjustifiably and criminally colonized by these people. Now, in Britain and the entire Europe, particularly Western Europe and America, to engage in polygamous marriage is prosecutable. It is prosecutable because it is not in sync with their values. Our part of the world, it is not prosecutable. Is it? I'm asking you.
Potentially polygamous.
I say, is it prosecutable?
No.
Our laws accept it because
potentially polygamous.
Our laws are a combination of both the customary laws and the so-called English common law. Because our values, our way of life, accept that particular system. And that is why it is acceptable here. Now today, we are being told that your way of life is terrible. We want you to take away that way of life and we bring in our way of life because that is in sync with our values. Meanwhile, we don't live there, we live here. Now, many people do not know the meaning of even that LGBTQ nonsense. Many people do not know. Tell me, and I'm happy that he is a reverend minister, tell me whether the religions in the world have ever had a convergence of acceptability on an issue than our collective and universal position against LGBTQ. All religions in the world, if there's anything that we have all agreed collectively and universally, I mean acceptable religions in the world, is our collective and universal opposition to this LGBTQ nonsense. Now we are being told that you either accept it or we deal with you. And we know professors in the universities. We know the threats they receive. Departments of universities have been threatened that you either speak for this LGBTQ or we cut funding to those departments. That is what happens.
You know this for a fact?
Oh, it's a fact. It's a fact. Look, why is it that when they go to Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, they don't tell them that we won't assist you if you don't support LGBTQ? Nonsense. Why is it that they don't tell them that?
Yeah.
Why is it that when they go to Saudi, they go to Dubai, they go to Qatar, they go to Kuwait, why are they not talking about LGBTQ? To the extent that the position of Qatar against LGBTQ people and the activities in a global event such as the World Cup, where they made it very clear that they won't accept such nonsense on their soil, they didn't do anything. They allowed those things to happen. Yet they come to us because we are so hungry and we don't have principles, and we think that without the support of the West, we can't survive. They threaten us and weaponize this. I think that this utter nonsense ought to be condemned, and we need to condemn it with all the vigor and the strength we have in it. Even if it means we should go hungry, let's go hungry and protect our dignity, our integrity, and our way of life. Moro, and in fact, and I say this with all the seriousness, Dr. Bawumia should tell us his position on the LGBTQ thing. He should tell us.
He's not the president.
No. I am saying that you tell us because, one, as a Muslim, Dr. Bawumia is a Muslim just like me. Allah's position on LGBTQ is uncompromising. And Allah says in the Quran that when people engage in it in any society and you don't fight to stop it, when the punishment of Allah comes, that punishment it will come in the form of birds flying with baked stones, and each bird shall drop the baked stone on every single individual in that society.
Honorable,
whether you engage.
I'm going to beg you. No, I would allow you to continue, but Abdullah has been on for almost 1 hour. I think.
No, but let me just finish on this.
No. I beg you. Otherwise, he would have to leave us. You are with us. I beg you, because the quotation will even remind you so that you know exactly where to start from. Let me quickly do this. Justice has been on for too long. Justice Abdullahi, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages. Hello, Justice Abdullahi. Hello? Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, thank you very much. It looks like you just finished playing soccer.
Okay. I had to.
Okay, all right. I beg you. What is Richard Sky's concerns? What are his issues? Why is he in court?
If you've noticed, Richard has become one of the guys who is trying to protect the public interest, if you don't just put it that way. But this is not the first time, as far as I know. You remember in 2021, when the Parliament of Ghana rejected the president's budget, Richard went to the Supreme Court on those matters and also questioning the quorum and the counting and all the other issues that emanated from that issue. Of course, at the time, there was also the Justice Abdullahi as Attorney General also pending, and a few other cases. And so I would want to see it from that public-spirited perspective, that he wishes to also play his role as a citizen to ensure that the interest of whatever beliefs and convictions he has is protected within the law. As to his real motives, I think that one can only be determined by himself and maybe those closest to him. Beyond that, I do not know how else to determine his fate beyond apart from the suit that he actually filed. I think the suit would give us a fair ideas of the matters that he seeks to unravel before the Supreme Court, or he seeks the Supreme Court's intervention. And so, I don't know whether that is what the essence of this question is. So really, essentially, that's what I can say for the motives of Richard Sky.
When he says the bill is unconstitutional, what does that mean? Does it mean it is against the Constitution of Ghana, or the procedure that actually led to the final passage of the bill is actually problematic? And that's what makes it. When he says it's unconstitutional, help us understand what he means by that.
Okay. All right. So for starters, per our constitutional framework, you cannot question the procedures that are adopted by Parliament in the discharge of the obligations, because the activities of Parliament is supposed to be a closed book to the entire world, and so nobody has the authority to intervene with regards to their procedures. And of course, Justice Abdullahi and Attorney General has sought to interfere in that kind of thing, and I'm sure understands us better. And so, but however, when a parliament makes a decision, that decision can be questioned by anyone who thinks that the decision of parliament is unconstitutional. But the procedure cannot necessarily be questioned because parliament is supposed to be masters of their own procedures. And so, so it's usually when a decision of this nature or a suit of this nature comes up, it is usually targeted at the decision that has been made, not the procedure that was adopted. And in this instance, we can say with all from his angle, that he's simply questioning the decision made by Parliament to pass the anti-LGBTQ plus bill.
Does Parliament have the mandate, the authority, and do they have jurisdiction, for use of a better, but can Parliament, let me simply put, can Parliament enact laws that seek to take away the right of persons whom the House believe actually don't deserve that right at all?
So there are very few areas in our constitution that Parliament cannot enter. And some of those areas are procedural, so they can do it, but after following a specific procedure. And there are some few others that they are completely barred from ever entering. But this particular decision of anti-LGBTQ plus is not part of the areas that Parliament does not have jurisdiction, to borrow your word, to interfere. It's not part of them. So indeed, Parliament has the authority to make laws beyond the laws that, as I've indicated, beyond those that the Constitution completely prohibits. Parliament can indeed make any other law.
My penultimate question to you before we take leave of us, because it looks like you want to go back to the post. The issue about the president saying that I am aware that Parliament has passed this law or a bill. Even before the bill gets to my desk, I want to say that I am aware that a Ghanaian or a concerned citizen is in court challenging the constitutionality or otherwise of this bill. And so I am sorry. even if the bill comes to me, I cannot sign. Is the president right? Is it spot on that?
I think the president is simply being mischievous with his position on this issue. And that is not in doubt. I don't even want to refer to the president's previous conduct in regards to other bills. But clearly, in this particular instance, he's been quite mischievous and he's adopting a very convenient means of avoiding the obvious. I think we can disregard those comments of the president because it's clearly a wrong position that he has adopted. First, the president doesn't have that authority to say so. He has a specified date, date within which, if the bill appears before him, he has to assent to it. If he has any concerns, he can only raise it with the Council of State. And if the Council of State decides otherwise, he has the obligation to assent to it. Otherwise, if he's vetoing it, then if he refuses to sign, then Parliament can marshal their forces. I think it's usually 2/3 to compel him to sign. And in that case, he cannot do otherwise. So the president doesn't have that complete veto to refuse to assent to a bill when it hasn't been appropriately passed on the altar of a pending suit, particularly when the judiciary has not placed an injunction on him to refrain from signing. And you would notice that in public interest cases, the judiciary is highly unlikely to place any injunction on public conduct because it is supposed to inure to the collective good of all of us. And so it is unlikely that the judiciary would do that. And if you remember the e-levy case, the Supreme Court was quite emphatic on this position that I've just indicated. The e-levy case, when the NDC, led by, I think, Haruna Idrisu, went to the Supreme Court for an injunction restraining the president from assenting to the bill and all the other implications that it came along with. The Supreme Court was quite clear that when it comes to the public interest, no, your private interest cannot override the interest of the entire 30 million, close to 40 million people. And so the public interest would always have to be protected. And there's no way any injunction can refrain or seek to restrain the president or any other public officer from exercising his constitutional mandate. And so the president is simply just being mischievous on this. And and his conduct is just too convenient for my liking.
Look, even if this matter hadn't gone to court, and that's my final question, if this matter hadn't gone to court, we could have used the president, a historical antecedent to predict what he would do. You remember the witchcraft bill? One of the key reason why he said he's unable to sign it is because there's going to be a charge on the public purse. And the same logic we're told actually applies to this, that put aside the constitutionality matter, but this is a private member's motion, which was tabled, which has now culminated into a bill. And so once it's going to have a charge in the public purse, the same logic would apply so that there's consistency. It's going to be a charge in the public kitty, so I will not sign. Help us appreciate this whole thing about private members' bill, which would have a charge in the public kitty, and the difficulty the president has in signing it off. What is it about? What is this theory?
So this is exactly why I said that we didn't want to go into the previous conduct of the president, because if you really go there, then you can see the inconsistency with the position of the president right from the day he became a president. He has been inconsistent in almost every position he adopts. And he is clearly, you cannot never trust his word when it comes to some of these matters. He doesn't come out as a trustworthy person with regards to some of these issues because of the inconsistencies and the contradictions. Now, when it comes to the issue of a bill having what's it called, financial implications. So far, unfortunately, I do not think that we have any authority from our judiciary speaking to this issue. But the essence is that Parliament cannot pass a private member's bill. So usually, because the state is the sponsor of all laws, elsewhere, private members of Parliament are able to bring their own laws. And in our case, we have accepted that, okay, we can also do the same thing here. However, we have put a caveat there that if you want to bring any bill to Parliament as a private member, as an individual member of Parliament, put it that way, that I think that would be very clear to the listener. As an individual member of Parliament, without having the support of the executive, the checklists are that you should ensure that that bill would not have a basis in making any withdrawals from the public purse, or in particular, so it wouldn't have any expenditure implications on the public purse.
Okay.
In other words, it's not as if the bill when it eventually becomes a law, you wouldn't have to spend the monies earmarked for other matters on that law. And usually, once you pass this checklist, that law can then go on, be passed, and be assented to. Now, my appreciation of the law in regards to this issue is that this would have to be done before the bill actually gets passed. This checklist has to be done before it gets passed. So my appreciation of the law is that that particular checklist has already been passed. And so if you have passed that stage, the president no longer has the right, because he has members of parliament in there, he has his attorney generals in there. All of these persons have they have input into the making of a law.
Okay.
And if these issues were raised at the time the bill was tabled, and it still went through the process, I do not think the president has that authority to say that, to do the kind of things he does, particularly when he did it with the the witchcraft bill.
Okay.
He doesn't have that authority, as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't have it.
Justice
If he has
Abdullah-
any right, it is to go to the Supreme Court to seek an interpretation or an enforcement of it. But he does not have the private authority to determine whether a particular bill has an implications on the public purse, or a particular bill is unconstitutional. The president doesn't have that authority.
Okay, Justice Abdullah, do this for me in just 1 minute. This matter is not law yet. So what is Richard Sky taking to court? I've heard people ask that.
Sorry, I didn't get that, Moro.
I've heard people ask that this matter is yet to become law. So what are you sending to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court interprets the law as a legal matter which is before them, but this matter is still an act. He hasn't even gotten to the president yet. So what is this guy taking to court? And that is dead on arrival.
Well, once Parliament has passed it, it is a law. I can understand that it becomes effective in implementation only when the president assents to it. Okay. And so until then, it cannot be an implementable law. It's not an implementable law. It is not applicable as it ought to be. But as to whether, like I said earlier, any decision of Parliament is capable of a suit. If Richard went to the Supreme Court on the basis of interpretation, maybe that might be a different issue to be discussed. But I do not think that, I think, let's remember that when it comes to the Supreme Court's jurisdiction in these matters, it is not just the interpretation of it. We also have the enforcement of it.
True.
And so, and in fact, there are several other angles that the Supreme Court can come up with in determining the legality or otherwise of the decision made by Parliament. I would like to call it a decision because it's still a bill until the president assents to it. And so once it's a decision, then the Supreme Court indeed has jurisdiction to make an interpretation of it, or any determination that a party brings to the court of.
Right. Thank you so very much, Justice Abdullah, for your time. It's been wonderful having you. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
It's always great being with you.
All right. So I'll come back to Murtala.
My deepest regards to my colleagues in the studio.
Sure. I'm sure the family is listening. Anyway, you were giving us some Quranic. Yeah.
State his position on this matter.
Okay.
And I'm calling on him to fear Allah and state his position, because his position must and ought to resonate with the position of Islam.
Okay.
We have been told that anytime they're addressing him, they will have to add the Al-Hajj. And I'm wondering whether without the Al-Hajj, people wouldn't know he's a Muslim. The Quran position is uncompromising. The Quran position says that we should fight it. When they say jihad, unfortunately, there have been a lot of misinterpretation of what constitutes jihad. Jihad could mean, yes, fight with your strength. Jihad could also mean fight with your tongue.
Right.
And when they asked the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that what is jihad? They say when you fight for your religion, you are fighting for jihad. When you fight for your land, when you fight for your wealth, when you fight for your children, your offspring, you are fighting for jihad.
Okay.
And they asked him, how do you fight for it? He said, fight for it with your strength. If you can't, fight for it with your tongue. If you can't, fight for it in your heart. But when they had to say that, but that is that is a very weak faith.
All right.
Now, the reason why Dr. Bawumia's position is not only necessary but essential is one, because he's a Muslim, and many Muslims look up to him. The Quran says that when people engage in such act and you don't fight it, that the punishment of Allah comes in the form of beds carrying big stones, and each bed shall be instructed to drop the stone on each individual in that community or that society, whether you are practicing it or not. So it means that we must fight it. And his position is very important because he's a Muslim. And I'm calling on him to state his position because President Mahama stated his position. Even President Nanado, who dilly-dallied initially, subsequently had to state his position when he met a Christian group, I think somewhere in, was it Pentecost, right? Presby, and stated his position. Now he must state his position. And I think the reason why this must become an electoral issue, because it defines who we are. It defines our values. And I want to tell everybody, you don't necessarily need to go to United States of America or to Britain before you can be a human being. For the entire 4 years, in fact, my US visa expired in 2016. I haven't even applied for it. I haven't applied for anywhere. So I'm saying that I know how they threaten people. Even some people applied for visas to undertake official assignments, and they have been denied visas because they refuse to succumb to what they want.
Okay.
We must stand up, and every single individual must speak out. Now, we have been told that I saw a video, and my sister was also making references to that, where some people are threatening that they know MPs who are engaged in it. Me, I want them to mention the names so that we know those who are hypocrites. You are either against it or you are with it.
Okay.
And I'm saying that we must fight this because it defeats our purpose. Nobody says that you can't do whatever you want to do in your bedroom. But to force, to push down the throat of our children, push down the throat of everybody in this country, we need to fight it. In any case, I have seen videos where a 15-year-old girl says to the parents that she is a cat. And she crawls. No, I'm serious. They put her food like the way they serve cat. It's madness. And I realized that there are a lot of people who haven't even read the bill. Now, on the issue of the land, I'm just concluding on this. Now, can any arm of government, whether the judicial or the legislature, determine to another arm, in this case the executive arm, how they discharge their responsibilities? Now, a bill has been passed by Parliament. The process to assent is exclusively given to the executive arm by the Constitution. Now, if you want to challenge the decision, wait until the president takes his decision on that. But you know, the president made a statement when he met the diplomatic community. And he said that he's aware that there's a gentleman who has gone to court when the writ was not even filed. He made the statement. It was the following day that Richard Skies filed the writ. So where did the president get the information? Where did he get it? Because as at the time, the president, the day he was making that statement, there was no case at the Supreme Court.
So what are you suggesting?
It means that the president knew something we didn't know. That is what it means. And for me, this is enough ground for that case to be thrown somewhere.
But
and I'm not looking at
there's another writ in court. There's another writ in court. I think about one Odo or something. That was
that one has been in court. That one has been in
June 2023.
Exactly, before even this
so that's
bill.
Not, that's not what the president
No, before this bill was passed by Parliament. So if the president said that he is aware that a gentleman has gone to the Supreme Court seeking interpretation of it. In any case, when there was no case in court.
Okay.
So you see that there's some connivance. I'm saying that, look, this thing, Dr. Bawumia, and I'm emphasizing on this. People can say it has nothing to do with politics. And Allah bear me witness. He needs to state his position
you said this
on
already.
the LGBT.
That's fine. Thank you. Honorable. Honorable Padre Boache Dankwa. Yes, I'll get. I mean, what's your reading of this? I mean, you know, you heard Omotala saying that this whole Richard Sky thing, it's something that was states, like you said, he's suggesting it's a state-sponsored, and that somebody's actually behind it. I don't know how you respond to this. Because of what the president said, he said he's aware, and then just after he spoke, the following day, Richard Sky is in court.
Tomorrow, LGBTQ plus lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, transgender. It's an interesting concept. More, I believe that as Christians we have our stance on this. As Christ has stated that he created them both male and female, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, or Eve and Evelyn. And so we have a biblical foundation to that. I don't know what we are going to do, really. And the reason I say this is that the world has become so globalized, extremely globalized, very, very globalized, that we can only be guided by laws and regulations. However, whilst we do that, we must also exercise some level of restraint. And the restraint should not just be in tolerance, but also in guidance. And the reason I state this is that, and I've raised this argument at various places, that we are aware that for us as Christians, we are in this world, but we are not of the world. And so we are aware that the king of Persia is the ruler of this world. What that means is that as the days go by and the end time draws nigh, there are a lot more things that we would see and concern with, and we have to contend with, which would be unthinkable, unimaginable, and out of the traditional thought of what we know. So the real question is, how do we contend with this beyond the laws that would be either assented to or not assented to, even though the bill has been passed by the people's representative? So I am seeking prayer for Ghana, because you see, the bill states very clearly that it's the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. So what's our Ghanaian family value? Because we must clearly define that and allow that to influence our decision. This week I sat in a parents forum for our school children. And one of the questions that one of the parents asked the principal was about LGBTQI and the school's position on it. And almost immediately, the school said, in our school, we don't allow it. Almost immediately. I think as a parent, I was pleased. And so what that means is that we all need to guide and guard our own environment and circumstances. So I don't know what is going to happen in the next few days. I don't know what the law says as the bill has been passed and as an issue is in court and the president is awaiting Supreme Court interpretation. I'm told
the Supreme Court interpretation before he discharges his responsibilities as executive president.
I'm told that the details of the writ that was sent to court was on the advocacy and the funding. Because as we are having this conversation, it's advocacy in
Not
one way or the other.
Not necessarily.
Well, we are talking about it. It's mileage.
I get it, but advocacy and having a conversation about it, an issue, because advocacy means deliberately you are telling people to do something. So,
but along the conversation,
somebody may be for it or against it.
Exactly. And so it's all and the thoughts around our press freedom and the freedom of speech I'm told that is what Richard Sky has sent to the court.
Right.
And I think that in this country, when you're president of the land, you will know everything that is happening. You'll be briefed. And so whether the president had it before it was sent to court, or he had it after it was sent to court.
Said it was in court. He knows.
The-
So that
no,
one is.
but- no, but
don't give
he's-
that interpretation.
no.
So what he's saying is that even if the president
The
knows about
president-
it, it's not strange. He's the
it's not
president.
No, he
strange.
says, but the guy hadn't. The writ hadn't been
Oh,
filed.
he says
So what
that's
did
why
he
he's
know?
saying that
It's not
as president,
strange.
he's privy to all kinds
I'm
of
saying that it
information.
shouldn't file. So was he speaking
No, the
recklessly?
president, it's possible for the president to know that it's actually it's being filed.
No, if you say it's being filed, it's different
Yes.
from if someone is in court.
Yeah, but the point he's making is that
That's why he needed to. Oh, Masa.
It's not strange to him.
Let's stop
okay,
this
Please
protest.
go ahead. Please
It's
go
not
ahead.
strange.
Yes.
But I've seen the reaction from the Christian community I align to, from the Islamic cleric I align to. Ghana is a moral country.
Yeah.
And morality doesn't encourage same-sex relationship. It's very clear on it. And so for me, we also need to ensure that we're making a decision, because the assenting to the bill as a law is a long-term decision.
True.
However, we have an economy that must strive. We have an economy that must continue to grow. We have an economy that is also dependent on other external factors and other resources. And so we need to be circumspect.
So we must grow LGBTQ economy. Is that what you're suggesting?
Please go ahead.
I'm worried because he's a reverend minister.
Yeah, please no.
Burutala.
Please go ahead.
That reminds me of John Kumar.
Please go ahead. Yes.
You know, so we need to be mindful, because the Zulus have a proverb that says that Ubuntu, Uguntu, Ugabantu, that you are who you are because of other people. You don't exist as an island. Ghana does not exist as an island. We coexist with other countries, and we are not self-reliant yet. And so whatever decisions we make must be at the backbone of what the impact would be.
Okay.
Even with our families, waking up this morning and coming, what's the impact of that on my own time, my own family, and the government? Being here representing the government, what's the impact of that? So every single decision we make, every single choice we make has its subsequent ripple impact and effect. But I think that very clearly there's no ambiguity about the fact that the Ghanaian people do not like this. There's no ambiguity about the fact that the people's representation has spoken the mind of the Ghanaian people. There's no ambiguity about that. And I'm very certain that the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, I'm very certain that he would make a statement on this to position himself and position the party.
Okay.
Because definitely, yes, it's an electioneering year, but we cannot do politics with an issue of morality.
So if you are calling
The
on
call
him to
for
stay-
just briefly, the call for the flag bearer of the party to make a statement on it. Do you think it's a valid call? Just briefly.
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that the vice president of
And the
Ghana,
flag
the
bearer.
flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, has stated that he's a man of himself. He's clearly distinguished himself very well at his vision board address at UPSA. He's made very bold statements with very bold solutions that would be implemented from the 7th of January 2025 should the Ghanaian people give him that opportunity on the 7th of December 2024 after voting him as president-elect. And clearly you could see the trajectory that he wants to have in terms of tax reforms, tax exemptions, the abolition of certain taxes, and all of that.
He can
So
do them now.
very clearly, you can see that he would be able to have a stance on
No
that.
problem.
And it's not a problem if he has a stance on it which is against what the executive wants, because he's
So
going
you
to be
should state it.
he's going to be leading a new path and a new charge.
Then
And
he
Zero
should state
two-
it.
I'm
zero
sure
two-
that he would.
All right.
I'm very-
Zero
I'm very
0249.
certain
Honorable,
he would.
Hamlet, please. Nanaya has to take a bite. It's 0249 155 646. I hadn't actually forgotten that I didn't mention the WhatsApp line. It's 0249 155 646. So those of you who want to join us via WhatsApp, that's the line. 0249 155 646. Where do you stand on this?
You see, I just want to go back to what Justice Abdullah
Justice
said.
Abdullah, the lawyer.
It's possible because he was playing football, his mind was a bit distinct. A bill is a legislative proposal. It's not a law.
It's not a law, yes.
Because he said it's a law. Since Parliament, it's not. A bill is a legislative proposal for enactment of a law. A bill becomes a law, a statute, after it is passed and it's signed.
Yes.
It is only becomes a law when it's assented to. That is it. A bill, it's only when it is assented to that it becomes a law. Because you cannot exact it if it is not assented to by the president of a nation.
He said that.
No, but he said it's
a law that cannot be implemented.
But it's not a law.
Then that's not law.
It is not a law. How can you have a law that is
cannot be
idle?
Implemented.
That is docile.
So you have a challenge with that?
Yes, but no, it's not a change. There's truth. A bill is a bill. A law is a law. A bill is a proposal for a certain situation.
So when we say Parliament enact laws, what do we mean?
Because if what is assented, it comes back and Parliament then approves of it as a law.
So the president signs the thing. It has to come back to Parliament.
Yes.
If the president refused to sign, and that's very important. Parliament can then make it a law by having to text members of Parliament.
Yes.
And that's
Say
it.
yes.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yes, but
that makes no sense of the president has
No, if the president does not sign.
If he does the separation of powers.
Powers,
So that
yes.
absolute power.
I get it.
But
Okay,
if the
please go
president
ahead.
doesn't sign, but the point
Point
is
number
that
one, yeah.
I am surprised that the American ambassador was saying that she's a woman, I guess.
Yes.
That we will not get Americans coming to work for
That's
us.
true. He
What
said that.
percentage of Americans are LGBT?
No, she said even if it's one, even if if you have
No,
the
I'm
best.
saying no, but the best you don't have only one best. Why? You don't. Yes, you don't have only one best. So if we need people from America to come and work for us, or transfer some form of technology to us, the person needn't be LGBTQ, whatever. Do you get? And yes, and do you understand me? There to how many 250 million Americans or more. Are you saying that everybody is LGBT who has a certain expertise? No. I mean, they shouldn't do that. Ghana is a sovereign state. Yeah. At least they should give us that respect and respect our values. The point is also that when Justice Abdullah was saying, he's saying that the private interest should not override the public interest. And Richard Sky is going to court for it. Which public interest is this? As far as our publics are concerned, we don't consider this group. Do you get me? In the scheme of things in this country, we do not consider this group. They are hidden. Do you get me? When you do journalism, you know, PR, there are various kinds of publics. When we draw our chart, this group is not openly identified because it is not part of our values. It is not part of the basis of our belief in God.
Yeah.
Both Allah, whatever, Muslim, African traditional religion, we don't agree to that.
Right.
You get me? So when we are drawing a chart for our publics, they are not there. So which is the public interest that Richard Sky is following? In whose interest? I don't know the segmentation, the percentage of people who are within this bracket. They are not even quantified.
We don't regard them.
We don't regard because it is not part of our culture.
Yeah.
And you see, the obnoxious side of it is that these days they are adopting children. It is psychologically wrong because how can I be in a home where I have two women? One is a father, one is a mother. I have two men. One is a father, one is a mother. And who should give birth to come and give to them? They don't want to have children. So who should give birth to come and hand it over to them?
But are you suggesting, again, back to that, because that's one of the issues that Richard Sky takes to court, but are you suggesting, for instance, that if you have a gay couple and they adopt a heterosexual
I
child?
said, who should have that? Look,
But no, it's a valid question.
Please,
But will they necessarily pass on their orientation
why not?
to the
Because
child?
yes, because the child doesn't know anything else but that.
Right.
Most of these gay attitudes were acquired. Do you get me? Through association, orientation, friendships. They are totally acquired.
it's madness.
It is not genetic because at a point they said it's in their genes. Yes,
Right.
even if it is in your genes, Where has it been established that it is in your genes? There are people who are tomboys. They remain tomboys. They don't, but they get married. Yes, they get married. Where is this one coming from?
It's madness.
So the point is that I'm also asking that why are we even making noise about all this? I mean, we need prayer and counseling. Oh, I'm serious. Because you see, if we even enact this law as a deterrent, are we going to put cameras in their rooms?
That's true.
Are we going to put cameras and put analogous cameras at the police headquarters, at the court?
No, we don't have any problem. We can see. But the point is,
I am saying,
no, but Nana is saying that if indeed we have a problem, if we have a problem with what
yes,
they
because
do,
that is even more.
Even in their rooms.
People do all manner of things in their room. If you read the law, law.
But you see, Honorable, please, I am saying that the law is a deterrent.
Yes.
You don't have to do it. If you do it, you'll be jailed ABC. But what is the aspect of a national orientation and training and awareness? That this thing is not good for you, health-wise, everything, religion, everything.
Whether covertly or overtly.
Overtly.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Because you see, if you even pass a law, and now that you have passed the law, then now they do it in their rooms. Do you get me? Who will see what is going on? And it will start spreading anyway. Because there's no orientation, national orientation to say that don't do this. There is no national prayer to say that God help us. The Prince of Persia is taking over our nation with this kind of attitude. Help us. We should run back to God. He's the only person who can solve this problem for us. Because you see, Moro, you have done a law. Don't you have laws that people shouldn't rob? Don't you have laws that people shouldn't rape? You have a lot of armed robbers who go into people's homes to steal. And if they are not caught, they go scot-free.
Yeah.
So if a law is put down, good, it's a deterrent, good. For us, it shows that. But what about what is happening in their rooms? Because if we put the law down and say, oh, we have a law, okay, we will do it in our rooms. If a house is sitting in East Legon somewhere, there is nobody there, people go in and come. Do you say that you're going to search what is going on? As long as you don't have any evidence to the fact, when you even go and search, you find beds well laid and all that. Well, can you say something is going on?
So I get the point. So that the law will just say, okay, it's okay, you can do it, but make sure you're not caught. And you're saying that kind of mindset is wrong.
That's wrong.
It should be that don't do it at
Don't
all.
do it. Don't start.
No, you're not getting what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. You see, when we focus on the law, in a way, subconsciously, what we're saying is that there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're not caught.
No, but we have laws that are against stealing.
Yes, but people are still stealing.
No, exactly. So it means that.
No, but I'm saying that
so
stealing.
you're saying the same thing. So she's saying that the law is not enough.
Honorable, stealing is evidential.
Yes.
I am sitting here. I leave my phone here. I'm gone. But my phone is not here. You become a suspect. Paul Gray becomes a suspect.
I become a suspect.
Everybody here become a suspect.
Yes.
So we start investigating.
Exactly.
If I am LBGT, whatever that nonsense, if I am, excuse my language, please.
No, you don't have apologies.
No, I'm talking about the people who are watching me.
No, but those people agree it's nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I go into my room and I go and do it.
We're saying it's fine.
No, who will see?
No, we're saying it's fine.
That is because
that's the problem.
Because we are saying it's fine.
Yeah, it's
because
okay.
it is not evidential.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
And that's a major problem.
I am telling it is not evidential.
I get what you're saying.
There is no evidence to what I have gone into my room to go and do. If I enter my friend's house, who is also a female, I'm going to visit my friend. She lives alone. No law bars her from living alone. I go and do what I come out. I sit in my car. Do you come and test?
I get it.
Besides, even the women, even if you are caught, how can you go and test? What evidence are you going to give that I stand before a judge and I engage in LGBTQ?
There are issues.
No, I'm asking you. How do you check me a woman? Because I've heard they use tools. They call them sex toys. You won't see anything. Maybe with the men, you see something in their anus that there are some lesions. Yes. But with the women, how do you find it? The person sleeping with the cocoa, that I'm in love with the cocoa.
Yes, queer.
Queer, yes.
Yeah, queer, yeah.
How do you find out that cocoa in his car is used for that? Somebody is in love with the pencil. This is my husband. I go to parties and I have the pencil in my pocket. And I'll be massaging the pencil whilst I sit there. How would somebody know?
I mean,
so for me,
it's not madness.
Yes.
So establishing proof will be very difficult.
Establishing proof will be very difficult. It is
Have you thought about this?
It is a law of deterrence. But the point is that how do you establish the proof? So for me, as the law is passed, which should be accented, because we are a sovereign state, all these people who are talking, they go and sit with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has one of the most obnoxious laws concerning LGBT.
It's not obnoxious. It's a very sensible
Yeah,
law.
No, not in the negative.
Not in the negative.
I think the word is stringent.
Yes,
I think stringent.
Yes,
Stringent.
some of the stringent laws. But America goes to sit with Saudi because they have looked after themselves well.
Yeah, you can.
It is time for us to look after ourselves well. It is time for
ideology.
us to harness our own potential. Because you see, in America, there are laws that are so stringent against the African community. Ghanaians, I'm saying that there's one funny law I'll never forget. It caught my sister in America. Backyard. When your backyard overgrows to a certain level, you'll be taken to police station.
Hey.
Yes. She traveled and the person who was taking care of her place forgot. She came back and there was a letter for her to go to the county police because her backyard had overgrown.
Oh.
And that is a law. Do we interfere in the laws that they do against our people over? Do we even interfere the way they treat our people when they go for visas? We don't. That is the way they want to do it. You go to American embassy, people are standing under trees. Yeah. Big people. Well, I went to an embassy and saw a big minister going himself to do everything himself. No protocol. Before there was even protocol in our time, you could do it for them. So I am saying that why are you interfering in our laws, our way of life? We want to give birth because we want to fulfill what God said in the Bible. Yeah. He said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And we are going to replenish it. Come what may. We won't give birth for somebody to take that child and say that, oh, we are two people, we want a child. Why do you want a child? Because you have chosen a path that does not give children. So why do you want a child? And I believe there should be a lot of awareness creation.
I agree with you.
A lot of counseling centers. Because some of the people are even in this kind of thing. They don't even know why they are there.
The law, if you take the bill, it involves all these.
All of it.
Yes, so we need to really look at it. It is very important.
All right. Now, our second topic, it is actually turned out to be a third topic because we have to discuss John Nkrumah. John Nkrumah is extremely important. He's our friend. And so we'll look at Professor Jane next week because Professor Jane, I'm sure, is going to be officially outlawed and so on and so forth from next week. And so when we come back next weekend, depending on how things go, we'll discuss Professor Jane. But I want to say a very big thanks to Nana Ajantwa, who is the former General Secretary of the CPP. She has a new NGO, it's just that she hasn't officially outlawed it yet. I'm sure when she... Oh, really? It's COSECA. COSECA. What's COSECA?
Coalition of Stakeholders in Energy Contracts and Arrangements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, one of these days we have to do a one-on-one.
Yeah, we have to
because we need to do some public education on what NGO does. All right, I want to say a big thanks to Park Ribachi Danko as well, who's a government spokesperson on governance.
Yeah, we want to hear Dr. Bawumia.
He said he doesn't have any issue with that. I mean, he thinks it's a good idea.
I forgot. You see, Dr. Bawumia has been too silent.
Okay.
If it is the talk, he can talk economics, things that doesn't come to pass. Yes. Ever since this thing started, this man has been quiet from day one. We want to know what he thinks. If he wants to be president of Ghana, he should come and tell us. Otherwise, already...